Hey guys, great times. I just wanted to do a quick live video. Definitely there has been a lot of events happening in the last, I would say almost like 2-3 weeks, peaks the last week or week and a half. But definitely this event has been already for a few months, probably starting like somehow end of February or so when it expanded more globally. And as we understand more about, different policies from different governments, from different states, different even companies, everyone is trying to learn and understand what they should be doing. Definitely, one of the solutions is to just turn off everything, and that will be basically the easy solution. But if you turn off everything, now you're gonna have companies that they have bills to pay, and if you close everything, they don't know what to do. So that's why I want to focus a little bit more on business resilience. And basically, this relates a lot to your business continuity plans. If you have one, of course, and usually when we think about business continuity, we think about companies or events that are major in nature that will cause certain type of disruptions to a company. So let's say, for example, there's an earthquake, and the earthquake, let's say in the worst case scenario, destroys your entire headquarters. All your computers are down, people cannot go into the offices because everything is down. So how can you keep your business afloat when you have an event like that? That's the most typical sample scenario when a company is thinking about a business continuity plan. They think about, okay, what will be the worst case scenario, and walk through over there through, okay, what will be the plan? What do they need first? Do they need to have a backup data center to basically build it up, let's say a hot site or a warm site or even a cold site, depending on what the application is and everything else, to be able to back up those systems as soon as possible? Now, after that, probably you're gonna have, your business continuity team, your disaster recovery team, and everyone is going to have different actions to make sure that they are rebuilding at some point your business, to make sure that the core of your business is still working. So let's say, for example, your business is an e-commerce that sells winches. So you're selling all these things, and part of that will be your manufacturing process. Maybe you can stop manufacturing because you have enough inventory to kind of start getting a lead over there. So you need to start contacting your suppliers, your customers, and so on. Now, of course, potentially, let's say marketing may not be as essential depending on what the situation may be. So there's going to be certain departments that are going to be more essential than others. Now, what happens if the disaster is not that typical that, hey, we lost everything? Like right now, what's happening with COVID-19 definitely is a disaster. Businesses are shutting down, they're closing. No one knows how long this will take. And I think that's the hardest part. Because if someone will know that, hey, there's an earthquake, it destroys everything, you know how long it will take to build another, building, data center, move to another location, rent, or so on. But with COVID-19, it's really hard because no one knows for how long things need to be shut down. They say it's going to be for about 2 weeks, but we saw it already, countries that had been already shut down for almost 3 weeks to almost a month. So that's why that's really hard for a lot of businesses, because they need to try to plan out how much cash, how much liquid assets they currently need to survive the situation and to basically repair any damages and later on thrive again. And that's the hardest part, because if you can say, hey, we have reserves for 2 weeks, well, a company could plan ahead, but you don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks or 2 months. That's why it's making harder for a lot of companies. But going back to the business continuity plan, one of the hardest parts over there is that it's not that data centers, it's not that your buildings are destroyed. What is destroyed is the main source of your income, people. People are not purchasing more. Like, I was just reading an article in one of the states, in one city, the gas price dropped down to 99 cents, something that hasn't being available. I believe they were saying since like 2000 or something like that. So definitely was like way long time. No one is driving. That's why gas prices are going down. If you cannot sell your product, even though you drop it really down on price, well, you're not gonna have income. If you're not gonna have an income on your company, well, you still have expenses. It's not that because everything is shut down, no one is telling you don't pay your electricity bill, don't pay your water, don't pay your employees. Your employees is the biggest expense for a lot of companies. And if your employees are not working 100% on what they're expected to, not because they don't want to, but because they don't have the work to do. Either they're working from home and that's helping you a little bit, or there's no business, there's no sales, so they basically don't have any type of work to do, and you as a company, you still have to pay them. Now, on the opposite side, if you are the employee, well, you have that uncertainty too. A lot of companies have been already laying off a lot of people because they're not going to have businesses, and they're telling their employees, hey, we cannot pay you, we have to let you go. And that's even harder because in these moments and this time, it's really hard to also find employment. The only places that are right now employing is a lot of supermarkets. Amazon is employing a lot of people because they're still selling a lot of things online. Like online sales is something that actually has been booming. People don't want to go to supermarkets, they don't want to meet with other people, so they're ordering things online. Now, going back to what are some of the things that you should be considering. So let's take a look at some of the questions that I think you should be thinking about it on your business, or if you're helping your company to think about these areas. And the main focus of today's discussion is going to be related to the financial, no, I won't say financial statements, the financial place of your company, meaning liquidity assets, incentives, working capital, what you could do in your company to retain as much capital as you possibly can for any type of problems that will face later on, either paying employees, finding additional resources, trying to get more sales, or so on. Capital is going to be the biggest challenge. Governments, as we heard right now, depending on when you're watching this video, is trying to pass different bills to help small businesses, medium businesses, and major corporations to do loans. But right now, those loans are probably going to be unsecured loans. Probably they're going to have different types of financing requirements, standard situations that you have to make sure that you are reading all these things before even taking out those loans. Of course, it's going to be helping you. The main issue that right now the government is facing is how much they're going to be spending. And of course, a lot of politics that we're not planning to get into this video. So definitely one of the biggest things that your company needs to have, or at least think about it right now, is having those advisors, because there's going to be a lot of loans available over there that are going to be unsecured loans with a lot of contingencies, a lot of plans, and a lot of, like, let's say, small letters behind to make sure that, hey, everyone is not just getting money for free, but of course you have to pay that money back at some point. So with that being said, definitely you need to have someone on point that knows and understands all those rules and regulations that are going to be put in place. And of course, need to think about how much money you are going to need and for how long. Going back again to that incognito question, we don't know for how long this situation will be. It could be that it's 2 weeks, or it could be that it's 2 months. So I would say prepare for the worst scenario. Always try to think about the worst case scenario. When I go to my clients, we look for the risk perspective, we look at controls, we do our audit. I always try to think about an example that is, it may never happen. It's one of the high risk, but the likelihood is very small. One of the reasons why I think about high risk scenarios is that it helps me to understand and think a little bit outside the box on other areas that may be affected, on other areas that we may try to think about it. Well, the risk, it could be that it's higher or lower, but at least it makes me think about what are other solutions or potential solutions that we can think of. Now, the other things that we need to think about it is how do we slot this new money into the existing capital structure? Let's say you're able to get a loan, you're able to get more capital, you're able to secure that money, that asset, where you're going to be spending, where it makes more sense. Would marketing makes more sense? Would sales make more sense? Would trying to keep your current employees make sense? Because remember, it's easy to just let employees go, but later on when everything starts growing up again, now you have to train those people and all of that costs you money. If you already have a lot of expenses at the beginning, just trying to get out from this situation, it's going to be really hard to get really good talent. So do you want to keep your good talent? What are your priorities? Some of those things you need to think about it right now. As right now things are happening is the best time to develop those plans if your company haven't thought about it already. Again, think about who could you borrow from and what terms can you expect. If you get a borrow from your local company, your local bank, I've heard that a lot of banks right now they're extending, at least for individuals, multiple loans, like private loans, and so on. So I'm sure that they're going to be doing something similar for companies. They're going to give them some credit, how much you're able to afford on credit, and what will be your terms and conditions. So when these credits are available, you can compare against those two things that you are comfortable of, so you look for the best plan that adapts to you. So with that, I will say that wraps up this quick live video. I wanted to keep it about like 10 minutes, don't make it too long. I hope you guys are doing great. I know these are very uncertain times. It's not that something like that happens very often. I will say that we are really prepared for, let's say, acts of God, earthquakes, floodings, all these things, hurricanes, tornadoes, but not something like a global pandemic where it's not just the US shutting down, but the entire global economy shutting down. And that's affecting a lot of people. So definitely I hope you're keeping warm yourself, you are keeping positive, things are gonna get better. Not everything is just up, up, up and rise. We're always going to have downtime, downturns, and everything. Is what do we do right now to make the best of the situation, and how do we prepare for the future? With that, we'll see you on the next video.